All right, Mr. Chair, our YouTube stream is running, so when you want to start the second session of the morning session, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, our next application is item number 8. It is 9 Cosmo Road. It's an application for a second-story addition above the existing dwelling with 2 variances. We have supporting material, ravines and natural feature protection of no comment, and that's all we have. Speaker for this application is Curtis Van Coolen. Welcome, Mr. Van Coolen.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. How are you?
Okay, I don't believe we need a fulsome presentation from you on this. I see we have your supporting materials. Is there anything you'd like to advise the committee, or I'll just see if they have any questions for you?
I do have one item. We do have 4 letters of support from number 7, number 10, number 11, and number 19 on Cosmo. It unfortunately did not make it into the package.
Okay, good to know. Other than that, I guess we just have your 2 variances, your small FSI and gross floor area.
Correct, through you, Mr. Chair. We do have 2 variances. There are both related to gross floor area, basically FSI and gross floor area. It's sort of a technical item that it's split into 2 for this subject. So if you guys wish, I could walk you through a quick presentation, but it's up to you.
Your FSI is less than 20 square meters. Let's see if just anyone has any comments. You don't have any opposition. There's no urban forestry condition I can ask you about. So let's just see if anyone has any questions or ready for a motion.
If no one has any questions, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay.
No questions? Okay. I believe this meets the 4 tests. And I move for approval. TRCA is okay and has already issued a permit, so I'm happy with this to move approval with no conditions.
Thank you. Seconder for that? Mr. Taylor, thank you. All in favor? You have unanimous approval, Mr. Van Coolen. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you all. You as well. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Okay, 9 was deferred, so on to item number 10, 44 Hollister Road. And it's an application for a 1-story addition, a new attached garage. And we have 2 variances. Planning has a report for information. They point out that the building length of 18.44 is due in part to the irregular shape and location of the lot. And we have support, 4 letters of support, 3 plus 1. Urban Forestry is looking for condition number 2, and the speaker is the agent for the applicant, Brendan Charters. Welcome, Mr. Charters.
Good morning, good afternoon. Sorry, Mr. Chair. My name is Brendan Charters from Eurodale Design Build, and I'm agent for the applicant.
Okay, very straightforward application. I don't think we need a presentation from you. I'd like to advise the committee members of anything, or I'll just see if they have any questions. I assume you're okay with urban forestry condition number 2.
We are okay, yes. We've started the arborist report already.
Right, and the planning report is self-explanatory. Okay, members, any questions for Mr. Charters, or is someone ready for a motion?
Andy Bledismus ready for a motion, if there are no further questions. Given the configuration of the site, length and depth are an issue in this design, but I feel that we should approve it. So I'd like to move for approval. The variances subject to condition 1 and 2 by forestry.
I'm just showing condition 2. Is that 1 and 2?
Sorry, 2. I was reading the wrong line. Correct. I was reading number 9. It's only F2. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconded for Mr. Bellissimo's motion. Mr. Palmer, Mr. Taylor, sorry. All in favor? Unanimous approval.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee.
Thank you. Okay, number 11 is 61 Queens Avenue East, or Queens Avenue. Just Queens Avenue. It's to construct a 1-story addition, a 2-story addition above the existing dwelling, and the existing detached garage in the rear yard will be maintained. There are 2 variances, We have revised plans that don't affect the variances and applicants' revisions. And the speaker is Luis Bajana.
Morning, Chairman and Mr. Panel members.
Good morning. Two very simple variances,
Yes,
no
absolutely.
conditions.
Yep.
I see. Let's just see if committee members have any questions for you. Unless is there anything you'd like to advise the committee members of first?
The main variance is the GFA, and that's cause obviously we try to maximize using the existing footprint, building on top of it. We try to use the roof as more space by introducing dormers, and so that's what triggered the GFA limit allowable in the area. I think it's still within context of the neighborhood. I don't think we're requesting too much over permitted, and it's just one of those neighborhoods that everything you do there triggers a variance.
Yeah. Okay. So I see there's no comments from anyone. Members, any questions for Mr. Bajana, or is someone ready for a motion? Visual. Mr. Taylor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm satisfied that the requested variances meet the four tests under the Planning Act, and I move approval without conditions.
Thank you, sir. Seconder for that, Mr. Bellissimo. Thank you. All in favor? Another unanimous approval. Thank you, Mr. Bajana.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Item number 12 is 5207 Dundas Street West. This is an application to construct two mixed-use buildings. There are three variances, and we have a cover letter from Walker Knott. We have an 8-page presentation with exhibits, including BA group parking justification. Planning has prepared a report for information. TTC in their letter dated November 10th advises they have no comment on the variances, and they have commented previously on the site plan and will continue to do so. And we have Metrolix advisory. In the additional materials, transportation accepts the proposed justification providing for the reduction in parking, so they accept that. The speaker for this application is Sean McGaffey. And I think that's all we have. Yep, just Mr. McGaffey. Welcome, sir.
Hi, thank you, and good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Hope you're all doing well.
Okay, so we have your fulsome report here, as well as the planning report for information. Perhaps you just give us a quick Coles Notes version on this application.
Sure, and I'd be happy to, sir. And then just for the record, my address is 90 Eglinton Avenue East, Suite 970, Toronto, Ontario, M4P2Y3. And I'm a senior associate with WND Associates, retained by KT Housing Now 6 Points LP, which is a consortium of Tricon Residential and the Kilmer Group, who are the successful proponents as part of the Housing Now program. So just very quickly here, this project was part of the city-initiated zoning amendment as part of the Housing Now initiative with the redesign of the Bloor-Kipling 6 Points interchange. This project specifically is providing 644 new rental dwelling units, 16% are 3 bedrooms, 37% are 2 bedrooms. I just want to take the opportunity to thank staff and Creatio for all the hard groundwork that's gotten us to where we are today, and for the site-specific bylaw 825/2021 that's passed and is now in force on these lands. As noted in the city's city planning staff report, the proposal is subject to a concurrent site plan control application that we're going through the process on that to implement this project. And as the site-specific bylaw was passed by the city within the last 2 years, City Council provided authorization to advance this application at their meeting in June 2022, and these variances have also been before the Creatio board. There's 3 variances total today. One deals with the orientation of the mid-block connection at grade. The second deals with parking, the parking supply, and the third deals with the tower floor plate area over a height of 73 meters. So basically, the gist for the mid-block connection is that it was originally planned to be in a sort of L shape, connecting Dundas Street West with the southeast or southwest, apologies, corner of the site that leads over to the GO station. So through the detailed site design work now, what's been done is to align that mid-block connection in a diagonal fashion across the site rather than an L shape. And that opens it up at the corner of the intersection at the northeast corner, as well as provides a continuous sight line through the mid-block connection to the higher order transit. With respect to the parking, I don't think there's much to say there, but for, the reduction in parking represents, the rental market demand for those kinds of spaces, and it's been reviewed and will be supported by a TDM plan implemented through the site plan application. And with respect to the step back of the tower element above a height of 73 meters, the tower in the site-specific bylaw is limited to 750 square meters. And then once you go above 73 meters, it's to step into 675 square meters. This, again, as we're going through the detailed unit layouts and orientation, it really creates a more efficient rental building to have a continuous tower floor plate all the way up. But to balance that and achieve the goals of what that step back was trying to achieve, is what we've done is basically increase the step back above the podium element with a new reveal that allows for that sky view that, from a pedestrian perspective, that step back was intended to achieve. So I maintain that these variances individually, collectively address the 4 tests, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. So, yeah, so variance 2 is really the big one, but everyone's fine with that. Instead of the step back, you're increasing the floor plate above 73 meters. That's the change to your site-specific bylaw and or actually the regular bylaw. And everyone's okay with that. I guess we have the planning report, and kudos to what's going on with this this development to add badly needed housing in the city.
Yeah.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. McAfee?
Danny Bellissimo has 2 quick questions. So this is a condominium. What's the overall, how many floors are in this building?
Sorry, Mr. Bellissimo, I'll just clarify, this is a rental building.
Oh, it's rental, okay.
Rental 10-year, 644 units, and it has 2 towers with heights of 18 and 24 stories.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so both towers are rental. I'm a bit confused about why you're here for number 1. Can you explain that? Maybe the other members aren't interested, but I don't, normally they'd say what you should do and what you're doing. I don't understand. Can you read that to me and explain that to me? I'm a bit confused why you're here for that number 1.
Sure. So as part of the site-specific bylaw, and maybe I could just ask staff to throw the site plan up on the screen for us here. But as part of the site-specific bylaw, it dealt with 4 blocks within the 6 points intersection all at once. And so this project is located within what's called Area A. And there's a diagram to that bylaw called Diagram 10. And it identifies where the opening to the mid-block connection has to be located. And so along the north side of the block, the access to the mid-block connection was supposed to be 18 meters west, 18.1 meters actually west of Biddingdale Trail. And what that did was create an L-shaped mid-block connection through the site to the southwest corner. And so what this application...
Mr. Bellissimo, have you heard enough? I think we
I was interested as an architect because I like to learn these things too while I'm here. No, thank you for explaining that. I'm looking at the site plan number 1. I can see it's the shortcut through the proposal. That's excellent. So thanks for explaining that. And I'm ready to move for approval if there are no further questions.
Yep, I don't think, please go ahead.
Okay, so I'd like to move for approval of the variance. I find that they're minor in nature and keeping with the character of the new character of the area. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconder for Mr. Bellissimo's motion. Mr. Taylor, thank you. All in favor? Can't see everyone. Yep. Mr. Palmer, you're in favor? Okay, unanimous. Thank you, Mr. McAfee.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Item number 13 is 5 Bernice Avenue. It's to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. We have a highlighted revision sheet on this application showing changes to the application. There were 8 variances and now 7. 5 of those have been revised. We have the revision page with the notice, revised zoning waiver, revised drawings. We have a cover letter outlining the revisions dated November 25th. Planning has given a condition of approval. They want it to be constructed as illustrated on the architectural plans dated November 25th with regard to the building length and lot coverage. And transportation has conditions of approval. Urban forestry has condition number 1. And we have support from 2 Bernice Avenue. And in the additional materials, we have a corrected revision page. But I'm just going to ask Mr. Flynn how that's different from the previous revision page in the application. That's the only question I would have. Mr. Flynn, welcome.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Okay, so we have additional material. We have a corrected revision page. Is that different than the one up on the screen right now?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, the issue with that one was the variance wasn't identified correctly. The way the bylaw reads, it's 118 plus 25%. So normally the variance is listed as 118 plus, and then whatever the larger percent is, and it was inverted. So the second revision page has that correctly.
So
The numbers are the same.
Right, but the wording is different.
Yeah.
I can see, yeah, okay. Okay, so we'll go by that one, right? So let's, we'll go by the one in our additional materials, Mr. Flynn. Anything you'd like to advise the committee of?
Mr. Chairman, we when we initially applied with our initial drawings and variances, planning identified a number of issues that they didn't like. We went back and we changed all of those to satisfy planning, and planning appears to be satisfied. So I think that we've done a pretty good job working with them. We have one neighbor who has put in a written letter of support. We also met with the other neighbors in the immediate neighborhood. They had no objections. And the other departments, forestry has their comment, which is related to a crabapple tree on the city boulevard. And it is city policy to allow the removal of crabapple trees because they tend to cause accidents. You know, the crabapples falling on sidewalks, things like that, and people stepping on them and slipping. So it is a written policy that they will allow the removal of those trees. But we will replace it with a more acceptable tree to the city's perspective.
Okay. Okay, so you're okay with the recommended conditions from urban forestry, transportation, and planning?
That's
so
correct.
Let's see if anyone has any questions for you or if someone's ready to weigh in with a motion.
And just, Mr. Chair, just to clarify on this revision page, the correct GFA should be 321.21 square meters, not 331. It's noted on the revised waiver submitted by the applicant.
Okay.
So the revision page still had a mistake.
Okay, so that will be corrected though.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so members, on that basis, is someone ready to weigh in with a motion? Mr. Taylor.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'm satisfied the variances requested meet the floor test under the Planning Act. I move approval of the corrected revised application, I guess to be revised further to reflect the accurate GFA. And my motion would include conditions of approval being urban forestry number 1, the community planning department condition, and the transportation services condition.
Thank you. Seconder for Mr. Taylor's motion.
All second.
Okay. All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. Okay, I don't know what the delay was on that, but anyway, okay, it's unanimous. You have your approval, Mr. Flynn. Be well.
Thank you, and you too.
See you in the new year. Next application is item number 14, 14 Ravenscrest Drive. We have a revised agenda page for the showing changes from the original application. And it's nice to see actually that this one is dated. Often they're not. So this is a revision dated November 29th, which is good to have, especially when you have, like in the last application, more than one revision. It's nice to see the date on that. So proceeding by way of waiver, it's to construct a second-story addition above the existing dwelling and a new two-story front addition. There are 5 variances. There were 5. There still are 5. The height, the 2 variances related to height have been reduced somewhat. Planning has a condition of approval again to construct as illustrated regarding the rear west elevation drawing, including bird-friendly window treatments, dark sky compliant exterior lighting. RNFP, no comment. TRCA has no objection. Permits will still be required prior to issuance of building permit as usual. And so that's all we have. We have the 2 revisions under the 2 bylaws dealing with the height. And the speaker is Oris Stoyanowski, and we have the neighbor from 12 Ravencrest on the line as well.
Mr.
Okay,
Chair,
welcome,
members, I
Mr.
just want to confirm the area resident is present on the call at this time.
Great. Okay. So Mr. Stoyanowski, you're aware of that. So go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, Chairman Committee. My name is Oris Stanovsky. I'm an agent on this application. And as per planning comments, we amended our application in terms of height of the building. Planning is satisfied with our amendment, and there is no objection from TRCA or Forestry as well. And we think it's very minor in nature, and we'd like to ask for your approval.
Okay, you're okay with the proposed planning conditions of approval?
Yes.
Okay, any questions from Mr. Stoyanowski? And if not, we'll move over and hear from the neighbor next door, Zaba Nagy, the neighbor next door, number 12.
Mr. Chair, they've asked to be put on and have their video on, so I've gone ahead and made them a panelist. Shazbah, if you'd like to go ahead now and turn your video on by clicking the Start Video button, you can do so at this time. Also, you're unmuted, so go ahead.
Hey, hello. Can you hear
Hello.
me?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, just pressing the start video. Doesn't really matter. Just had a couple of questions really, because I haven't heard anything about this, frankly, until we got the notification. I guess my first concern is there's no indication that there's any tree protection zones being encroached on here. But I'm just wondering, there's a large maple on the front lawn that's right on the property line, so it's a shared between the 2 properties. And the way I kind of ballparked it, it's the extension that they're going to build out there is going to be well within that protection zone. So I don't know if there's any information on what the tree protection zone is for that. Because I believe that was either 4.2 or 4.8 meters based on the information. And the other question, similar fashion, is I'm not sure if this is the right forum, but our main power line is actually going to go through their new house. So I don't know how that's dealt with.
Yeah, you're right. It's not before us today. We're dealing with the build for it, but you obviously will have to get answers to that. With respect, I just checked back on our urban forestry memo. If you've been watching, you'll note that about 75% of our applications have comments from urban forestry. So this one doesn't. So at least from what I could see by looking at that. So perhaps staff can look into that as we're dealing with this application, and perhaps the applicant knows something, the agent knows something about that as well. Okay, would you like to, I didn't want to cut you off, you'd like to continue?
No, that was it, other than I did have sort of a curiosity question. I noticed it's actually right up on the screen now, item 4 and 5, and there's 2 sort of sections there referring to the height of the property. I'm just, why they're 2 instead of 1, and why are they different?
two different bylaws. One is the number 4 is the citywide bylaw, and I guess the number 5 is a separate older city of Etobicoke bylaw. Well, we're again give Mr. perhaps staff or, but that's why you often see two things when there's still a bylaw in force.
Okay, because I would have imagined that number 5 takes precedence over number 4, makes it kind of redundant. Although they're different, they're different heights too, so it's actually different portions of the height.
Yeah, they may measure it differently. That often you see that. So that's the explanation. And I guess it would be obligation to comply with both are still valid, I guess, if they're both up there on the screen, being identified as variances.
We're on the north side, so it doesn't affect me in terms of visibility at all.
Right. So again, we're not going to look for unless he can help with the hydro line, but mainly to your other question, dealing with what's happening with the tree. Okay, Mr. Stoyanovsky, would you like to answer that? Sorry,
to answer
staff.
the question about the height, it should have been noted that it's a maximum permitted height for a flat roof dwelling, so that's why it's different compared to others that you've seen for 9.5. And the reason why both are there is because the 2013 bylaw has appeals on certain portions of the residential zone. I think we're going to hear that that's been resolved soon, but that's why they had to quote both sections, the new bylaw and the former Etobicoke zoning code. So, because you never know which one could be the applicable one by the time they get a permit.
Okay.
So you can see it appears to be measured differently because even the height is different, not just the permitted heights, but the actual measurement in this particular proposal. Okay, so let's go back to Mr. Stoyanovsky to respond to your other questions dealing with the tree, if he has any knowledge about that. This urban forestry did not weigh in. We note that Ravines and TRCA have. So back to Mr. Stoyanovsky.
Yes, Ravine and the TRCA were reviewing this application, and it was not highlighted as a concern for them. So there was no comments with regards to the tree, and we just simply acted accordingly.
So as
with
far,
regard, yeah.
So as far as you know, there is no urban forestry condition with respect to that.
No, and with regards to TRCA and ravine protection, they were more interested in the ravine and the backyard of the property in front. They looked at the tree, they visited the site, and they had no comments.
Okay, and your construction shouldn't be.
We believe so. Yeah, it should not affect the tree. If it would have, they would have mentioned that, obviously.
Okay. Yep. Okay, any other questions? Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Nagy or Mr. Stoyanovsky, or someone ready for a motion?
I just have a comment. I'm looking at the street view right now. That red maple tree that was referred to looks like it's really in the center of the lawn, not close to any driveway. So anyway.
Okay, and not too close to where the building's going to be expanded at the front.
No, I don't believe so. I'd have to look at the site plan again, but I don't believe it is.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions, members, or is someone ready for a motion? Mr. Taylor?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm satisfied that the requested variances meet the 4 tests. And I'm referring to my motion deals with revised agenda page November 29th, 2022, and the variances set out on that. I move approval subject to the Community Planning Department condition.
Thank you. Seconded for Mr. Taylor's motion. Mr. Bellissimo, thank you. All in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you, Mr. Stoyanovsky, and thank you, Mr. Nagy.
Thank you.
That answers your questions answered. Okay, item number 15 is for Darlingbrook Crescent. It's an application for a new detached dwelling with an attached garage with 6 variances. All we have on this are supporting materials for Mr. Romano, and Ravines, I believe, has no comment. Note them. And urban forestry is looking for conditions 2 and 3. And Franco Romano is the only speaker agent for the applicant. Welcome back.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you.
Okay, this application should go a bit quicker than the one earlier this morning.
Hopefully.
Okay, so just a brief 2-minute explanation.
Yes, thank you for that. So the first two variances deal with GFA, gross floor. And the reason for this is because the current zone examiner is applying the provisions of the bylaw that are under appeal. So there are two provisions under the bylaw dealing with gross floor area and floor space index. When the building permit was issued, it complied with the in-force exception for GFA, and that was a different zone examiner. So the new zone examiner is applying the appeal version that includes the garage as part of gross floor area, and that's what triggers variances 1 and 2.
Okay, I just don't even understand what variance 1 is. It doesn't say these lands must comply with exception 900.3.10 subparagraph 28.
Yeah, it refers to exception 28, which is then articulated in variance number 2. Variance number 2 describes what exception 28 is.
Okay, thank you.
You know, almost like a belts and suspenders to include number 1. I don't think number 1 needs to be there, but the zone examiner says it should be. So.
Okay, your height variances, the rest of them seem all to be less than half a meter, correct?
Correct. It's a 1 foot increase in building height, and I can advise, you know, jumping on what just transpired in the previous application and what the Deputy Secretary Treasurer has indicated. At some point next year, you're going to start to see zoning notices not having the former building heights anymore because the OLT issued an order on November 30th approving the height provisions under bylaw 569/2013. So, but in this instance, for this application, it's an increase of 1 foot.
Okay. Okay, any questions for Mr. Romano or is someone ready for a motion? Mr. Bellissimo?
Yes, I'm ready for a motion. I find the variances are minor in nature. The 1 foot additions will be very not noticeable, given the size and scale of the proposal, and move for approval of the variances. There are 2 conditions, forestry 2 and 3.
Yep. Thank you. And planning didn't weigh in at all on this one. Thank you for that motion. A seconder for that motion? Mr. Taylor, thank you. All in favor? It's unanimous approval. Thank you, Mr. Romano.
Thank you kindly. Be well.
Be well. Happy holidays.
You as well.
Okay. Next application, item number 16 is 12 Stock Avenue. It's an application to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. We have a revised highlighted in yellow revision sheet. This one is not dated like the last one, but it nonetheless, we had 8 variances. There are now 6. 2 of those have been revised. There we have the revised plans. Planning was looking for a refusal before the revisions. I'd like to hear from the applicant on that, whether this satisfied their concerns. And in the additional materials, we have an applicant's presentation. Urban Forestry is looking for condition number 3, and transportation in the newly arrived information received this morning. They advise they're okay with this application. So the speaker is Ali Tanha, and welcome, sir, and please advise about the situation with community planning and your changes. It looks like their planning report, their negative report recommending refusal was based on the variances before you made the revisions that I just referred to on the yellow highlighted sheet shown on the screen.
To clarify, we made some, we worked with planning and we made some changes and we took the advice on Many items. I believe I was a little bit confused with the final staff report I saw because they don't go to specifics. So I'm not 100% sure, but my last conversation with the planner was that they were not in support of the application. At the
Yes,
end,
that was before. Okay, that's what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah.
Before you made the changes, and you can see that their report attaches the plan. They
Mhm.
always have the four variances at the outset of their plan, and shows
Yes.
the plan for the changes. In their report, they say they would like to continue working with the applicant to achieve a development in a more appropriate scale that would be in keeping. So
Yeah.
the question, he says, as of the time of the writing of this report, which was November the 24th, they hadn't received any revisions.
I
So when this
believe that
situation happens, I have to ask the applicant, were these changes made as requested by planning? Do you know whether they feel this would be enough? Sometimes they write and they say, oh yeah, they've made changes, but it's not enough. So I'm asking you as the agent on the file, whether you know that or not. Were these changes specifically the ones requested by planning? And if such, if have they reviewed this report? They haven't put it on their memo asking for a deferral because they haven't had enough time to deal with the revisions. I don't know the date of your revisions because I just pointed out it doesn't have the date on it. So I'm looking for your assistance in advising whether this is acceptable to planning or not, because the committee members need to know that or infer it themselves.
at the end, it was not supported by the planning, and I think the staff report is the final representative of what they think.
Okay.
I would like to. Can I start?
Yes, go ahead, sir. Yeah.
All right. So we made some.
Let's restart the clock, please.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. I would just like to mention, because the staff report doesn't mention anything, so I would like to make a point of the changes. So we eliminated a few variances based on the feedback the planning had, but at the end, with the conversation we had with them, it came down to the FSI number that they didn't like, and also the general sense that the immediate surrounding of this house, there is no precedent. So for myself, the area and the neighborhood we're looking at, if we go to if the staff can put the second page of my presentation, we have marked the neighborhood that we think should be considered if we are considering this application. This is my presentation file. Yes, the second page shows the yellow area. That is the area we studied to design this house and also believed was the immediate neighborhood directly affecting the kind of variances and the kind of development we are asking for. I don't see anything is visible on the page. If the staff can fix that for the members.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, members, we are working on it. We're just having some, it's just loading slowly, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So we have also pinpointed 12 projects in this neighborhood that have been newly developed, and they have FSI numbers ranging over 0.54 or 54%. And the highest number we have is 71%, which is way beyond what we're asking for. So we tried to keep the variance on the lower end of the neighborhood, considering there was no house directly beside this house or within a few homes around this house, but they are within the neighborhood. And the streets we marked, we have on Truman, Brawley, Cullinan, and I didn't find anything on Stock, but as I said, the bigger picture and the prevailing character of the neighborhood is this bigger area, which mostly is comprised of modest bungalows that are being developed as second floor additions or additions in general, being severed and developed, or new builds. and these numbers for FSI has been established. So if we go to third page, another thing we wanted to focus on to just make the this presentation simple is these are all the precedents in the neighborhood. As you can see, 68%, 71%, and a lot of them over 55%. If we go to the next page, please. We have studied the cases that have been newly developed in the area on those streets, 1 street to 2 streets over, or 3 streets. And we have also pinpointed one at the bottom right of the page is matching the proposal we have in terms of the character that they have proposed and has been approved by the committee. But also it is the numbers they had approved. If I want to go through them, their coverage is 35%. Our coverage is 30%, which is 5% lower. Their FSI is 71%. Our proposed FSI is 58.4, which is almost 12% less than this house. And the main wall height and the side wall height for this house is 7.49, which matches ours. So this house is a very good representative of what has been done in that area within a reasonable distance from this house, and exists in the neighborhood, and with way higher numbers approved by the Committee of Adjustment, as I mentioned. So at the end of the day, we felt like our proposal was within, in terms of FSI, was well within the approved numbers and the character and the developing character of the neighborhood. And we asked for it, but the planners did not agree because they're just looking at the immediate surrounding of the house. If we go to the next page, I just want to quickly mention what other things we use just to make the massing less. On one side, we don't have a setback, as mentioned on red. On the south side, we don't have a side setback anymore. We eliminated that. On the north side, that we are asking for 0.9 setback. In the back, we have 1.5. So we are asking for 0.3 in front, but we are giving the neighbor 0.3 extra in the back to reduce the effect on the neighbor. And also, if we go to the next page, in terms of streetscapes, although we are proposing the house, the main floor, to be over the garage, as we saw on the other precedent in the neighborhood, we are setting back the second floor further back in terms of streetscape to have less mass visible from the street, and not to have a not to negatively affect any streetscape, and just be a little bit more respectful. And the numbers on the variance for the side main wall, as you see on this, we have highlighted in yellow, only happens in a few spots on the side wall, and it's not the representative of the whole wall. The whole wall is 749, same as the other precedent in the neighborhood, and it only to for some design features, and where the windows are, we had to increase the height of side wall to accommodate the windows. So just to summarize, all in all, transportation did not have any problems with our variances for parking, as we satisfied their required parking space. And within this background of the neighborhood, I strongly believe this house is more than reasonable to be approved as is, and meets the 4 tests in terms of all the characteristics of the neighborhood. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tana. Just one comment from me. Given that planning has recommended a refusal, they mentioned that they haven't received plans to their satisfaction, but I don't think the planner usually would have outlined what he did receive. So again, appreciate you being very honest with us and telling us that this would not meet with their satisfaction. But in the event that committee members felt inclined to approve it, would you not feel it would be appropriate to tie it to the plans, as you just indicated, that the height, certain of the variances aren't for the full property, but just for certain pinch points? I assume if the event of approval, you wouldn't have any objection to that being tied to some of the plans in some way to construct as illustrated. And perhaps Mr. Bellissimo will have more information if that's the way they want to go.
Yeah, absolutely not. I totally agree with that.
So basically, you're pointing out in your presentation that you're expanding the prevailing character neighborhood from something other than just Stock Street, whereas the city appears to just looked at Stock Street. I guess that's
exactly
your position. Okay,
exactly.
so any other members questions for Mr. Tana? Mr. Palmer?
Yeah, sorry, the parking space variance, where is that depicted on what plan?
We have it on the basement floor plan. You can see the space for the parking because of the type of spill level we have designed. You can see it on the basement floor plan.
Okay, so that's the parking space within the house.
Yes.
And you have an additional parking space in front of the garage as well?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Yeah, the variance from 3.2 width to 2.96. So it's not too much, about a foot. Any other questions for Mr. Tanner, or is someone ready for a motion?
If there's no questions, I'm comfortable moving a motion. Notwithstanding the comments from planning, which seem to be on every variance, it looks like the applicant's made some revisions that soften the impact. And I think this area looks to be mostly bungalows, so I think it's probably going to be an area in transition. So I think planning have better get a handle on what's going on in the area. This looks to be modest, and I'm comfortable with it. So I'll move for approval of the variances as revised. And that's subject to urban forestry condition number 3.
Okay, what about tying to somehow tying?
Oh yeah, tie it to the plans, the revised plans that he's shown.
With respect to the height variances, perhaps?
Yeah, the height, yeah, exactly. And the setbacks.
Okay, thank you for that motion. A seconder for Mr. Palmer's motion, Mr. Bellissimo. Anything to add about the tying that condition, sir? Being our resident architectural expert.
I think it's fine. The applicant designs very detailed, so I think tying it should not be a problem.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? You have unanimous approval. Thank you, Mr. Tana.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and the committee members.
Be well. We'll see you again. Thank you. Next application is item number 1716 HUMHELLER Road. It's an application for a new detached dwelling with an attached garage with 2 variances. We have revised site plan with revised driveway widths to deal with the urban forestry comments. Set out in the cover letter, we have supporting material presentation and 3 letters of support. Urban forestry looking for condition number 2. Speaker is Bethany Johnson, the agent for the applicant, and we as well we have the neighbor from 18 HUMHELLER on the line, subject to Adam confirming that they are indeed on the line.
Mr. Chair, members, we have Kim on the line.
Okay, Kim Barnett next door. Okay, so let's hear from Bethany Johnson.
Hi, thank you very much, Chair and Committee. I do have a presentation up if the presenter would like to project that, but I can go through it quickly as well.
Yep.
So I'm representing the homeowners at 16 HUMHELLER Road. We are requesting today the committee's approval of 2 minor variances. The first would be to increase the allowable.
Let's hang on and wait. Let's hang on and wait for
sure.
staff to get that on the board.
Absolutely, sure.
There we go.
Great, thanks. If we could start just at slide 2 there. Just as a quick overview of what we're requesting today. So approval of 2 minor variances. The first would increase the allowable maximum floor space index, and the second, if approved, would increase the allowable maximum lot coverage. And so to support this approval, we will go over a quick snapshot of each of these variances, as well as some letters of support from neighbors. So if we move to slide 3, this is the first request. So As a bit of context, the homeowners of 16 HUMHELLER Road, they've lived in the area for several years. They would like to build a new home to be able to age in place and to spend time with family. And the proposed design for the new home requires a minor variance to increase the allowable maximum floor space index from 0.45 times the lot area to 0.58 times. On this slide, we've provided two images of the site plans. The first on the left is the site plan indicating the building footprint, with the maximum FSI of 0.45 times the lot, and the second is the proposed building footprint, indicating the increase of the FSI to 0.58 times the lot area. The red box there shows where that change, the approval that we're seeking. On slide 4, we get into the second variance. So the new home requires a minor variance to increase the allowable maximum lot coverage from 33% to 33.6%. So on this slide, similar to the last one, we have two images. The one on the left is the site plan indicating the building footprint with the 33%. And the second image on the right is the site plan with the proposed building footprint of 33.6%. Again, the red box there, a little hard to see, but it's minor there, showing the variance for which we're seeking approval. The full detailed drawings, of course, are in the submission. But if we move just to the next slide here, we also wanted to just reiterate that the homeowners are really committed to continuing to live in a supportive and community and inclusive community. Having their neighbors' support for the design is important to them. And they've received 3 letters of support from their immediate neighbors. And those are neighbors at 14, 19, and 20 HUMHELLER. The map here on this slide shows where those homes are located. The letters of support are part of this submission, and there's some statements there that are included in all of the letters that explicitly state the neighbor's support for the minor variance requests. We'd also like to note that to date, the homeowners have not received any concerns from neighbors on the proposed build, and they have had the sign posted on their property since November 22nd. So overall, the proposed renovation, it doesn't impede on the properties or change the look and feel of the street, and instead it maintains the character of HUMHELLER Road and the surrounding community. And with the support of neighbors, as demonstrated through these letters of support, we respectfully request the committee's approval. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you for that presentation. And the presentation, the way it's been presented is very good to show the amount highlighted in variance. I'm a proponent that should be a requirement in the notice provision, that you should have to show not only what's permitted, but where the amount of variance is. And some of the agents do show that in the architects. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Johnson? Or if not, we'll go to the next door neighbor at number 18 for their comments. Okay, so let's hear from Kim Barnett at number 18 HUMHELLER Road.
Go ahead, Kim.
Okay, so our only concern, and we're not even
Yeah,
sure.
can you please start off by just stating your name and address, please, for the record? Thanks.
Yes, my name is Kim Barnett, and I am immediately to the north of 16 at 18 HUMHELLER.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you. I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak. We actually we're not even approached by the owners of the property to inform us that any of this was happening, and we haven't been approached by them even once the letter had gone out and the sign had gone up. Our only concern, and like I started to say, I'm not sure if this is the right avenue or not, but this home has been used as a rental property where there's been a lot of issues with just upkeep of the property itself, with garbage disposal, sort of the regular things that people have been seeing. So our only concern was that this property is not just going to be made bigger to house more rental tenants. And that's what I'm saying. I don't even know if this is the right place to discuss this.
Again, we do deal with planning concerns, but you can assume that I don't know what the state of this property is, and if but it appears that if they're building a brand new home, it's shown as a single residential. It's not showing they're adding any secondary suites, but we can let Ms. Johnson comment. But we wanted to know if you have any concerns with the built form on this property in terms of dealing with the variance, the additional 0.6 and the additional, about 64 square meters over and above the amount permitted for floor space index, which would be the on 2 floors, divide that by 2. So that's the concern that we would want to hear from you if you had any concerns with the built form. Apparently, the neighbor on the other side does not.
No, we do not as well. We've
Okay.
looked over the plans and we do
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. So if it's dealing with the activities of the fact that the property was tenanted, it's not really an issue. And obviously, if it's going to be the old residence assuming is going to be demolished and this new one built.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions for the neighbor, Ms. Barnett, at 18 members, or we'll go back to Bethany for a quick rebuttal.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much to the neighbor for those comments and concerns. Just to reiterate, yes, the home will be demolished, new home is being built, and the home will Lucky family intend to move in.
Okay. Members, any further questions, or is someone ready for a motion?
Danny Bellissimo is ready for a motion if there are no questions. First of all, I'd like to thank the applicant for giving us those snapshot of drawings. That's very helpful for us to understand what triggers these variances and makes it easier for us to understand the whole proposal. So based on those snapshot requests, you've convinced me that these variances are minor in nature and move for approval conditional on forestry. I think it's F2.
Yep.
At number 2. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconder for Mr. Bellissimo's motion.
I'm happy to second that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Alderson. All in favor? You have unanimous approval. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Thank you for a very good presentation.
Thank you very much, committee.
Okay, moving on then. Item number 18 is 33 Barker Avenue. It's an application to construct a 2-story west side addition, including an attached garage, a 1-story rear addition, a new rear deck. We have a revised application page for the agenda highlighted, again, not dated. We did have 4 variances. We now still have 4 variances, but the coverage has been reduced. And transportation is advised this morning they're okay. Urban Forestry looking for conditions 1 and 2. We have 14 letters of support. Or is it from number 14? Oh yeah, we have 14 letters of support and cover letter, and the revised zoning review and the revised plans to go along with the revision. The speaker for this application is Nenzi Baboki Agis, and as well we have an area resident from 3 Sims Crescent on the line to make submissions as well. So is Nenzi Baboki Agis there?
Mr. Chair and members, the property owner does not appear to be on the call. We've been trying to get a hold of them, unsuccessful this time, but we'll continue to get a hold of them. The area resident is present though, so what we can do.
Okay, so I see the owner. I'm looking at the notice. The owner is either Nenzi Baboki or Paul Agis, but they're not on the line.
Oh, Mr. Chair, actually, sorry, my list of attendees doesn't note Paul, but Paul is present on the call, so I will go ahead and unmute Paul.
So Paul is looking at the applicant. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, I couldn't unmute myself.
Okay. Hello, Paul.
Hi. Nancy is here. She's here beside me.
Hello.
Okay. We only want one of you to present.
It's actually Mindy who's going to be presenting. She's
okay.
Yeah. Thank you. For 3 Sims.
Yep. Sorry. 3 Sims is the neighbor.
She is actually a representative, yes.
Oh, she's your representative.
Yes.
So she's not a neighbor in opposition or with concerns or in support. She is actually your agent. So she's listed. She is an area resident. Okay, so you and your husband can just listen, or your partner, and Melinda Roberts. Now that we know she is the agent, I guess with co-op drafting and design.
Mr. Chairman and members.
Is going to make the presentation, and there's no opposition. Okay, go ahead, please.
Hi, I'm sorry for the confusion. Yes, I wrote and mentioned I would be the agent for the owners. Not sure what happened. Yes, anyways, we're looking for these 4 minor variances for this property. Updating an awkward layout and a cramped old home and providing a garage that a proper car can fit into. We have the neighborhood support. The home will be retaining its charm and character. We're not rewriting this, and we ask for your approval of these variances.
Okay, thank you. I just have one question for you.
Sure.
It looks like in your revision, you changed the coverage of the dwelling excluding the garage from 51.7%, whereas 25% is permitted, to 26.65. So you're just 1.65% over, and you
Correct.
brought that down by about 9 square meters. How come variance 2 doesn't change?
I'll be honest with you, the coverage changed considerably.
Yes.
And all we did was reduce the area of the deck, of the backyard deck. And this was reviewed by a second examiner. And I do not know where this number came from, how it was reduced so significantly from the first one. It was originally 31.7. And we reduced the deck by 5 square meters and somehow reduced the coverage. That is a question for the zoning department. I don't understand how that happened.
I guess the floor space index doesn't include the deck, so that's maybe why that didn't change. And
That
also,
is the answer to that. Yes, we didn't actually change the FSI.
okay. Okay, members, there's no one here in opposition. Does anyone have any questions for the agent, Melinda Roberts? And if not, is someone ready for a motion? Mr. Taylor, sorry. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm satisfied the 4 variances being requested meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act. And I move approval subject to urban forestry conditions 1 and 2.
Okay, thank you. Seconder for that? Mr. Palmer, thank you. All in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you, Ms. Roberts. Thank you, and thanks to your clients as well for being on the line.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 19, 7 BRUTON Road. I don't know how you can pronounce that. It's to construct a second-story addition above the existing dwelling. We have 1 variance, FSI from 0.46, whereas 0.4 is permitted for 21 square meters over. Otherwise, we don't have anything on file from anyone. Rick Bongers is the agent. Welcome, Mr. Bongers.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Rick Bongers, address 75 Redwood Avenue.
Thank you, sir. Don't we need a presentation? No one has weighed in on this. Truly minor, 1 variance, 21 square meters. Anything to add and let the committee know about? Or if not, I'll just see and I'll wait a motion from the...
No, it's just a representation of the existing size of the footprint of the existing house. It's a typical top-up.
Yep. Okay, great. Members, motion?
If no one has any questions, I'm prepared to make a motion. This is a very straightforward application. I believe it meets the 4 tests and move for approval with no conditions.
Thank you, Ms. Alderson. Seconder for that. Mr. Palmer, thank you. Mr. Taylor, thank you. All in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you, Mr. Bongers.
Thank you, sir.
Be well. Okay, last item of the morning session is number 2051 WESTGLEN CRESCENT. We have a revised notice for the application, again, not dated. It's to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage and a new ancillary structure in the rear yard. There are 5 variances. 1 has been revised, being the width of the driveway has been brought in to be more in keeping and more closely aligned to the permitted maximum. Transportation advised this morning, they're okay. They do have conditions. We have a revised site plan and zoning review to go along with the change, arborist report, arborist site plan, a cover letter regarding the revisions, and memo about urban forestry condition number 2. And that's it. And The speaker for this application is Richard Kosak, the agent. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, or yes, good afternoon. Hello.
Yes. Pretty straightforward. I don't believe we would need, there's no one here with concerns. And I'd like to advise the committee members of anything.
No, as you stated, we have the 5 variances. One of the variances being modified just a week or 2 ago for the driveway width, just to keep a little bit more in line. But staff recommended that it would be in line with the neighboring and something that's a little bit more supportable from their side.
Okay. Very good. Any questions for Mr. Kosak, or is someone ready for a motion?
Palmer, just quick question. Sir, did you see the comments from transportation, which we just got this morning?
No, actually, I didn't see those yet. Were they just?
Okay, so they're dated December 7th, and they're recommending approval, but subject to a few conditions. I'll just read them out quickly. All portions of the existing driveway that will be removed must be restored to the satisfaction of and at no cost to the city. B, the reconstructed driveway within WESTGLEN Crescent Boulevard of the site must be built to city standards at no cost to municipality. And C, the owner must obtain all permits from construction activities units of transportation services prior to commencing construction, which may include but not be limited to payment of municipal road damage deposit, and the owner must contact construction activities in order to obtain the exact particulars of required permits. And the owner will submit revised site plans which demonstrate compliance with above noted requirements. So they're asking for these notes to be added to the site plan as well.
Yes.
Would you be okay with that condition?
Yes, we would be okay with those conditions as you read and what I'm looking at online here now. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Someone ready for a motion?
Since I've got the floor, I'm ready to move a recommendation. I'll move approval of the variances as revised, reflecting the driveway width, as subject to transportation conditions and subject to urban forestry condition number 2.
Okay, thank you. Any seconder for Mr. Palmer's motion, please?
I'm happy to second that motion.
Thank you. Ms. Alderson, all in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you, Mr. Kosak, and thank you for everyone. Our morning session is now completed. It is 1:45, 1:46 p.m. Staff, would you like us to return in an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and 3 o'clock?
Yeah, let's do 3 o'clock, please.
3 o'clock, okay. Have a good break, everyone. We'll see you back here at 3.